Okay, everyone, let's see if we can change some minds tonight. Unfortunately, Matt and I have to talk about breaking news, which is that there was a suicide bombing attack in Kabul earlier today.
Yes, so the basic who, what, when, where, why, there's what was called a complex attack by U.S. officials, multiple bombings too. The thing I want to get into real quick is we know that, of course, U.S. personnel were impacted by this. We have up to 12 servicemen who've now been killed, multiple injured. The thing that I want to kind of highlight real quick, I'm not saying this has been the case with everything, but when you're coming across a story on social media, for example, or online, oftentimes you're seeing the headline, maybe the graphic with like the key headline, you know, like as you're scrolling or something. It's not like you're seeing like the whole like outlay on the website or something, right? And almost everything I saw today had the number of U.S. service people killed, but it said nothing of the Afghan people who were there and that number. And that was something that really bothered me, because I think that's just, again, something I've been trying to point out so much in these conversations, as it is so one-sided towards our costs, our time, our harm, which is not irrelevant. Right? There's people who I like really care about who've left more there than I ever will. All right. Like, so I understand how heavy of a conversation this can be for Americans, but it's so one-sided. Like, we don't, like, 60 Afghan civilians died in that attack at minimum we know of. All right. So, I mean, this is like not a political thing today. So if you got someone who's like out racing to call out the Democrats or the Republicans, or like, this is one of those, like when you're doing, this is the outcome. These outcomes happen when you're doing what we do abroad, regardless of who's in charge or like who's doing what. These are inevitable ends. Like, specifically, I will point out there were reports of an attack coming. U.S. officials warned people that were put out, don't come to the airport. Like, we had like warnings of like imminent attack, things of that nature. The Taliban tried to race out and say there was no, like they said, no, things are okay. Like they didn't have like the same information apparently about an imminent attack. That being said, in the aftermath, the Taliban have condemned this publicly. This was ISIS who was taking responsibility for it. There's more you can go into. I mean, but ultimately that was the biggest thing. I think there's not much more I want to talk about, because to me, like, it's fuck the politicization of this. This is just a really tragic day. Like, and just consider all the people who were harmed.
Yeah, and to that point, when I knew that Matt was going to do the vast majority of research on this particular segment, but when I threw up some bullet points just to reference, I didn't even mention the 12 soldiers that were all in all the headlines. And instead, the bullet point says dozens of bodies, because I didn't see a difference between, like, just because you were from a different nation.
Which is why we usually click pretty well, I think, in general, is because it really is human first, guys. Like, it really is human first.
Like, just discussing like, oh, we shouldn't have done this, or like this could have prevented this. It doesn't help anything. Like, discussing doesn't really help anything. And so I think that we can't talk about all this without also like then pivoting to like, what can we do right now? So I'm going to share some links that we have previously talked about. If you check out our last live stream from last Thursday, we were more in depth on like what these different organizations are doing. But
like, yeah, real talk. Last thing, guys, is there's a lot you can do, even just donating to like some of these organizations. Like, if you're in a position, like I'm in a position in Sacramento where I can give time and stuff, right? Because there's a really big Afghan community here, and there's different organizations where it's easy for me to kind of reach out, but it might not be realistic where you are in the country to like give time to something. So if you really do want to help and you find yourself in a position to do so, you can even give money to some of the organizations that have been pointed out. And I understand times are fucking tough, man. So even just sharing the information, right? Maybe it'll come across someone who maybe has the means to do so. So just even sharing the information, promoting it, and just kind of passing along to someone who you know might be in a position to help can help as well. So don't feel like you have to do something if you're not in a position to do something. Yeah, to be fair to like CNN, on their website, it had 12 U.S. soldiers, and then I believe 60 Afghan civilians. Yeah, I usually go to Al Jazeera first for news on the Middle East. Not that I think they're perfect, but I mean, it's going to be better for the most part than what we get here.
Yeah, and for anyone wondering, Matt is referencing that Wonder Woman in the comments has said that it's difficult to find the total number of casualties. because in our media, we're going to have propaganda that just highlights American deaths.
I don't know about you guys in the comments. Do you guys feel like it's been a heavy week or two? You guys, I think everyone's kind of feeling the strain of life lately. I don't know about you guys, but remember, get your leisure time in, man. Like, even if it's like 15 minutes outside, away from the noise, just to your own thoughts. Maybe toss some music in real quick and just turn off for at least 15 minutes, man. Just get a little mental health in there. Straight up, you'd be surprised what 15, 20 minutes to yourself can do, even in the midst of a hectic day.
But yeah, on that note of like, if you're feeling exhausted and like with the mental bandwidth that like you're going through and like the emotional bandwidth that we're all going through, because like it's a combination of things. It's the foreign policy. It's like COVID isn't going away. Things aren't getting better. So like we're still in like grief mode. I'm not a veteran. You're not a veteran. So I can't even imagine the mental toll that the existence that is being alive right now is for them right now. So check on your veteran friends and family.
Just even a hello, man. Doesn't have to be like, you don't have to ask like, how are you? Just like a hey, what's up? Like just check in. Just a simple little message goes a long way, man.